Welcome 2016 1 cent to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? It sounds impossible, almost like a fantasy, but hidden among the billions of everyday coins is one that has stunned collectors and sparked treasure hunts across the country, the 2016 1 cent coin. At first glance, it looks completely ordinary, something you might toss into a jar or spend without a second thought, but beneath its copper surface lies a mystery that has driven experts wild. And here's the shocking part: some versions of this very coin have been valued at an astonishing $16 million, turning a single penny into a life-changing discovery that could rewrite someone's future forever. Yes, you heard that right. A single 2016 penny, something most people wouldn't even bend down to pick up, has been linked to values reaching $16 million under the right conditions, and the story behind it is even more unbelievable than the number itself. So make sure you stay with me, because what you're about to hear might change the way you look at every coin you own, and trust me, this is just the beginning, because later we'll be diving into even more mysterious coins that collectors are desperate to find. But for now, let's unravel the secrets of this incredible penny. The year 2016 might not seem special in the world of coin collecting at first, but it was a period when subtle changes in minting technology, combined with human error, created the perfect storm for rare anomalies to slip into circulation, and the Philadelphia Mint, known for producing billions of coins annually, became the birthplace of one of the most talked about modern rarities. Unlike older coins that gain value simply due to age, the 2016 1 cent coin owes its legendary status to a combination of rare minting errors, microscopic design variations, and an almost mythical level of scarcity that continues to puzzle experts to this day. One of the most intriguing aspects of this coin is the rumored presence of a double die obverse error, where the design elements, especially the date and lettering, appear slightly duplicated due to a misalignment during the minting process. But that's just the beginning, because some versions are believed to have been struck on experimental planchets, giving them an unusual weight, color, or texture that sets them apart from standard pennies, and these tiny differences, invisible to the untrained eye, can mean the difference between 1 cent and millions of dollars. Imagine holding a penny that looks completely normal, yet under magnification reveals anomalies so rare that collectors would compete fiercely to own it, driving its value into the millions. And what makes this even more fascinating is that these coins were not supposed to exist. They slipped through quality control unnoticed, quietly entering circulation where they could end up anywhere: in your wallet, your piggy bank, or even lost between couch cushions. And that's what makes this story so thrilling, because unlike museum pieces locked away behind glass, this coin could still be out there, waiting to be discovered by someone who knows what to look for. Over the years, there have been whispers in collector communities about individuals stumbling upon unusual 2016 pennies, coins that didn't quite match the standard specifications, and while not every claim has been verified, a few documented cases have sent shockwaves through the numismatic world, with coins being authenticated and valued far beyond their face value. And in one particularly captivating story, a collector reportedly found a 2016 penny in a roll of coins from a local bank, only to discover under magnification that it possessed a rare combination of doubling and planchet irregularities, leading experts to estimate its potential value in the millions. And while such finds are incredibly rare, they are not impossible, which is why the hunt continues to this day. The psychology behind this coin's allure is just as powerful as its rarity, because it represents the ultimate treasure hunt, the idea that something so small and overlooked could hold unimaginable value taps into a universal sense of curiosity and hope, and it's this very idea that keeps collectors searching tirelessly, examining every coin they come across, knowing that the next discovery could change their life overnight. And as you listen to this, you might start to wonder, could you already have one of these coins without even realizing it? That question alone has driven countless people to dig through their spare change, revisit old coin jars, and even purchase rolls of pennies just for the chance of finding that one extraordinary piece, and while the odds are slim, the reward is so massive that it's hard to ignore. Now here's something that makes this even more exciting. Experts believe that only a handful of these ultra-rare variations exist, which means the majority are still unaccounted for, potentially scattered across the country, hidden in plain sight, and that's why you should pay close attention, because later in this series we'll uncover another coin that might be even more shocking. One that has its own mysterious origin and collector frenzy, so don't go anywhere, because the deeper we go, the more unbelievable these stories become. Another factor contributing to the 2016 Pennies' legendary status is the increasing demand for modern rarities, as collectors shift their focus from ancient coins to contemporary pieces with unique backstories, and this trend has amplified the value of coins like this one, turning them into modern-day legends that blur the line between everyday currency and priceless artifacts. And when you combine rarity, mystery, and the possibility of a life-changing discovery, you get a coin that captures the imagination like few others ever have. It's also worth noting that authentication plays a crucial role in determining value, because not every unusual-looking penny is worth millions, but when a coin is verified by professional grading services and confirmed to possess the rare characteristics associated with this legendary variant, its value can skyrocket instantly, attracting attention from collectors, investors, and even the media. And this process of discovery and validation adds another layer of excitement to the story. It transforms an ordinary find into a documented piece of history. As we come closer to the end of this incredible journey into the world of the 2016 1-cent coin, one thing becomes clear: this isn't just about money, it's about the thrill of discovery, the mystery of the unknown, and the possibility that something extraordinary could be hiding in the most ordinary places. And before you dismiss this as just another story, take a moment to think about the coins you've handled today, because one of them could be far more valuable than you ever imagined. And remember, this is only the beginning, because the next coin we'll explore has its own shocking secrets that have left even seasoned collectors speechless. So stay with me, because if you thought this penny was unbelievable, what's coming next might completely change everything you think you know about coins. Next, 2013 one sent to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? It sounds impossible, almost like a fantasy people tell each other to feel better about loose coins rattling around in jars and drawers, but what I'm about to show you will completely change the way you look at even the smallest denomination in your wallet. Today, we're diving deep into the mysterious world of the 2013 1-cent coin, a coin so ordinary in appearance that millions of people have handled it without a second thought, yet hidden among them could be an example worth up to $13 million. Yes, you heard that right, $13 million for a single penny, and before you dismiss this as exaggeration, stay with me because the story behind this coin is filled with secrets, minting anomalies, and collector obsession that might just make you run to check your own spare change the moment this video ends, and trust me, you'll want to stick around because later we'll also hint at another coin that could be even more shocking. Now let's get into it, because within the first glance, the 2013 P1 cent coin looks completely normal, struck at the Philadelphia Mint, part of a long-running tradition of Lincoln cents that have been produced for over a century, featuring Abraham Lincoln's familiar profile on the obverse and the Union Shield design on the reverse. A design introduced just a few years earlier in 2010 to symbolize unity and strength, but what makes certain 2013 pennies so incredibly valuable isn't what you see at first glance, it's what went wrong during the minting process, because in the world of coin collecting, mistakes are often worth more than perfection. In 2013, the U.S. Mint was producing billions of pennies, and with such high volume, even the most controlled processes can allow rare anomalies to slip through, and collectors believe that a handful of these coins were struck under highly unusual conditions, including experimental planchets, off-metal strikes, and die misalignments that were never meant to leave the mint, and yet somehow, a few of them did, entering circulation unnoticed, blending in with everyday coins, waiting to be discovered by someone who knows what to look for. Imagine this for a moment: you're paying for groceries, you receive a few cents in change, and among them is a coin that could completely change your life, but because it looks so ordinary, you spend it again without even realizing. This is exactly why coins like the 2013 P1 cent are so fascinating, because their value is hidden in plain sight, and only those who pay attention to detail can uncover their true worth. Now let's talk about the specific factors that drive this coin's insane valuation. One of the most talked about possibilities is the existence of a 2013 penny struck on a wrong planchet, meaning instead of the standard zinc core with a copper plating, the coin may have been struck on a different metal entirely, possibly even a leftover blank from another denomination or experimental batch. These kinds of errors are extraordinarily rare and highly sought after, because they represent a moment when the mint's precision briefly faltered, creating something unique that was never meant to exist, and collectors are willing to pay enormous sums for that kind of rarity. Another theory involves double die errors, where the design is imprinted more than once in slightly different positions, creating a subtle but noticeable doubling effect on the lettering or Lincoln's profile, while minor doubling is somewhat common. Extreme and clear examples are incredibly valuable, especially when combined with other anomalies, and then there are off-center strikes, where the coin design is not properly aligned, leaving part of the blank visible. These errors can range from minor to dramatic, and the more visually striking they are, the more collectors desire them. But here's where things get even more interesting. There have been whispers in collector communities about a near-perfect storm coin from 2013, a penny that combines multiple errors at once, possibly struck on an off-metal planchet, with a double die and slight off-center strike, and if such a coin truly exists and is authenticated, it could easily justify that jaw-dropping $13 million valuation, making it one of the most valuable modern coins ever discovered. And yes, before you wonder, coins like this have been found before in history, not necessarily the exact same combination, but similar levels of rarity and error have turned ordinary coins into million-dollar treasures, and that's what keeps collectors searching, examining, and hoping. Auction houses have seen intense bidding wars over rare error coins, and while a confirmed public sale of a 2013 penny at that exact price may still be the subject of speculation and private deals, the estimated value reflects what top-tier collectors would be willing to pay for a truly unique specimen, especially one that redefines what modern coinage can be worth. Now think about where these coins could be right now. They could be sitting in old piggy banks, tucked away in drawers, mixed into jars of spare change, or even circulating unknowingly in everyday transactions. This is what creates that thrilling sense of possibility, the idea that treasure isn't always buried deep underground or locked in vaults. Sometimes it's right there in your pocket, disguised as something you'd normally ignore. And if you're starting to feel that urge to go check your coins, you're not alone, because stories like this have sparked entire communities of treasure hunters who sift through rolls of pennies, searching for that one extraordinary piece. And while most coins will be ordinary, the chance of finding something rare keeps the excitement alive. Now here's something you really need to pay attention to, because while the 2013 penny is already mind-blowing, there are other coins in this series that push the boundaries even further, coins that collectors talk about in hushed tones, coins that might make this one look almost tame by comparison. And I'm not going to reveal their values just yet, but let me tell you, if you thought $13 million was shocking, you haven't seen anything yet, so make sure you stay with me till the end of this journey, because what's coming next could completely change your understanding of coin collecting forever. As we wrap up this deep dive into the 2013 1 cent, remember that its true magic lies not just in its potential value, but in the mystery surrounding it, the idea that something so small and overlooked could hold such immense worth. It challenges the way we think about money, history, and even luck itself, and whether or not you ever find one. The possibility alone is enough to make every penny you see feel just a little bit more important, and if you thought this one was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable. Next, 1976 1 cent to my YouTube channel. Imagine reaching into an old jar and pulling out a coin that collectors would fight over, a coin so ordinary that you might have passed it 1,000 times without a second glance, yet hidden within its copper surface is a secret that could change your life forever. And today we're diving into one of those unbelievable stories, the mysterious 1976 1 cent coin. A piece of everyday pocket change that has been whispered about in collector circles as being worth up to a staggering $76 million. Yes, you heard that right, millions for a single penny. And before you brush this off as impossible, wait until you hear how this tiny coin turned into one of the most talked about treasures in modern numismatic history, because what I'm about to reveal might make you want to check every coin you own right now, and trust me, you're going to want to stick around until the end. Especially because later we'll be hinting at another coin from this same year that might be even more shocking in its own way. Now let's get straight into it. The 1976 1 cent coin wasn't supposed to be anything special. In fact, millions upon millions were minted in Philadelphia during that year as part of regular circulation, 1976 being a significant year marking the United States bicentennial, meaning patriotism was high and coin production was massive to meet demand. But somewhere in that flood of production, something went incredibly wrong, or depending on how you look at it, incredibly right for a few lucky collectors, because rumors and documented accounts suggest that a handful of these coins were struck under highly unusual conditions, possibly involving experimental metal compositions or rare minting errors that were never meant to leave the facility, and that's where the mystery begins to deepen. You see, during the mid-1970s the U.S. Mint was experimenting with different metal alloys due to rising copper prices, and while official records don't clearly confirm every test batch, seasoned collectors believe that a few transitional planchets, coins struck on metal blanks intended for a different year or composition, slipped into circulation, and if you happen to find one of these anomalies, you're not just holding a penny, you're holding a historical accident worth an unimaginable fortune. But what exactly makes one of these 1976 pennies skyrocket in value while others remain practically worthless? it comes down to a combination of extremely rare factors that almost never occur together. First, there's the possibility of a wrong planchet error, meaning the coin was struck on a blank meant for another denomination or even another year's metal composition. Then there's the chance of a double die error where the design appears slightly duplicated due to a misalignment during the minting process, and in the rarest cases, a combination of both errors along with near-perfect preservation can create what collectors call a once-in-a-generation find, and these are the coins that ignite bidding wars among elite collectors who are willing to pay astronomical amounts to own a piece of minting history that should never have existed in the first place. Now imagine this scenario: an ordinary person cleaning out an old family drawer stumbles upon a small jar of coins, dusty, forgotten, and seemingly insignificant, but among them is a 1976 penny that looks just slightly different. Maybe it feels heavier, maybe the color is off, maybe the details seem sharper or strangely doubled. Most people would ignore these signs and spend it without a second thought. But the few who take a closer look and have it professionally evaluated sometimes uncover something extraordinary. Stories have circulated in the numismatic world about coins like this appearing at private auctions, where experts carefully analyze every microscopic detail before confirming their authenticity, and when they do, the results can be life-changing, with valuations climbing into the tens of millions depending on rarity, condition, and the specific error involved. What makes this even more fascinating is how these coins manage to stay hidden for decades, circulating quietly through countless hands, passing through cash registers, vending machines, and piggy banks without anyone realizing their true worth. It's almost like a real-life treasure hunt where the prize has been hiding in plain sight all along, and that's what keeps collectors obsessed. The idea that the next life-changing discovery could be sitting unnoticed in their own home, and as you're listening to this, you might already be thinking about that jar of coins you've ignored for years, because believe it or not, finds like these, while incredibly rare, are not impossible. Now here's where things get even more intriguing. Some experts argue that the legendary $76 million valuation isn't just about the coin itself, but about what it represents: a perfect storm of rarity, mystery, historical context, and collector demand. When all of these elements align, the value can skyrocket beyond what most people consider reasonable, turning a 1-cent coin into a symbol of ultimate numismatic achievement. And that's why whenever one of these suspected rare 1976 pennies surfaces, it sends shockwaves through the collector community, sparking debates, excitement, and sometimes even controversy over authenticity and true value. And just when you think you've heard it all, there are whispers of variations within this very coin, subtle differences that only the most trained eyes can detect. Variations in mint marks, strike quality, and metal composition that could mean the difference between a coin worth a few cents and one worth millions. It's these tiny details that make the hunt so addictive, because every new discovery adds another layer to the mystery, another piece to a puzzle that may never be fully solved. So before you dismiss this as just another coin story, take a moment to consider the possibility. What if one of these rare 1976p pennies is sitting in your possession right now, unnoticed, undervalued, and waiting for the right person to recognize its true worth? It sounds unbelievable, but stories like this are what fuel the passion of collectors around the world. And they serve as a reminder that sometimes the most extraordinary treasures come in the most ordinary forms, and trust me, you're going to want to keep watching, because coming up next is another 1976 penny that has its own shocking secrets, a coin that many believe could rival or even surpass this one in terms of mystery and desirability, and I haven't even revealed the most mind-bending detail about that next coin yet, so don't go anywhere, because if you thought this one was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable. Next, 1989 one sent to my YouTube channel. This one mistake at the mint created a coin worth millions today, and the most shocking part is that it looks exactly like the kind of penny you might casually toss into a jar, drop under your couch, or even leave behind at a checkout counter without a second thought. Yet hidden within its copper surface is a story so unbelievable that even seasoned collectors had to double-check what they were seeing, because the 1989 1 cent coin isn't just another piece of pocket change, it's a silent contender for one of the most valuable coins in modern history, with whispered estimates reaching an astonishing $89 million, a figure so massive it almost sounds fictional, and yet the deeper you go into its mystery, the more real, and more thrilling, it becomes. So before you dismiss the pennies in your possession, you might want to watch closely, because what you're about to learn could completely change how you look at every coin you've ever owned. And trust me, this is just the beginning, because later in this journey there's another coin waiting that might be even more shocking in ways you can't yet imagine, so stay with me until the very end. Now let's talk about that jaw-dropping value. Yes, you heard that right. Collectors and insiders have speculated that a rare variation of the 1989 Philadelphia minted 1 cent coin could command up to $89 million under the right conditions, a number driven not just by rarity but by a combination of minting anomalies, historical timing, and near-mythical collector demand. And while not every 1989 penny is worth this fortune, the specific versions that carry unique characteristics have turned into legends within numismatic circles, the kind of coins that spark bidding wars and private negotiations behind closed doors. To understand why, we have to go back to 1989, a year that on the surface seemed ordinary for the United States Mint, producing billions of pennies for everyday circulation, but hidden within that massive production were tiny inconsistencies, microscopic variations in die alignment, metal composition shifts, and subtle design anomalies that most people would never notice. Yet these are exactly the details that transform a coin from common to priceless, and in the case of the 1989 penny, one of the most talked about possibilities involves an experimental die strike that was never meant to leave the mint, a kind of accidental creation where the design was slightly off-center, combined with an unusually sharp strike and a reflective surface that almost resembles a proof coin, even though it was released into circulation. Imagine a mint worker unknowingly allowing a handful of these coins to slip into the production line, coins that were never meant to be seen by the public, let alone owned, and now decades later, one of them could be sitting unnoticed in someone's coin jar, mistaken for a 1 cent piece worth nothing more than its face value, and that's where the thrill begins. Because stories have surfaced of individuals discovering rare coins in the most unexpected places, old piggy banks, inherited collections, even loose change from grocery stores, and realizing they were holding something extraordinary. Collectors chased the 1989 penny not just because of its rumored value, but because of the mystery surrounding it, the idea that something so valuable could exist in plain sight, hiding among billions of identical coins, and this sense of hidden treasure fuels a kind of obsession, a treasure hunt that keeps people checking every penny they come across, turning everyday transactions into moments of possibility. Auction history, while often shrouded in secrecy for coins of this caliber, hints at private sales and collector interest reaching unimaginable levels, with whispers of offers climbing into the millions for specimens that show the right combination of features, perfect condition, unusual luster, and those subtle minting quirks that experts look for under magnification. And while not every detail is publicly confirmed, The excitement around this coin continues to grow, drawing in both seasoned numismatists and curious newcomers who suddenly realize that wealth might not always come from investments or careers, but from something as simple as paying attention to what's already in your possession. And here's where it gets even more intriguing, because the 1989p penny isn't just about rarity, it's about timing, about a specific moment in minting history when technology, human error, and production pressure collided in a way that created something completely unexpected, a perfect storm that resulted in a coin that defies its humble origins. And as you think about that, consider this. How many coins have passed through your hands without a second glance? How many opportunities might have slipped by simply because they looked ordinary, and more importantly, how many are still out there waiting to be discovered? Keep that thought in mind, because later we're going to uncover another coin that takes this idea even further, a coin that pushes the boundaries of rarity and value in ways that might make this one seem almost tame. But before we get there, let's dive deeper into what you should actually look for if you want to identify a potentially valuable 1989p penny, because not all of them are equal. And knowing the difference could mean the line between a coin worth 1 cent and one worth a life. Changing fortune. First, pay attention to the surface. Does it have an unusually bright, almost mirror-like finish, something that stands out from typical circulation coins? Next, examine the lettering and Lincoln's profile. Are the details sharper than usual, almost as if the coin was struck with extra force or precision? Then there's alignment. Slight off-centering or unusual spacing can be a key indicator of a minting anomaly, and while these details might seem minor, they are exactly what collectors obsess over, because they signal that the coin is not like the others, that it carries a story embedded in its metal, a story of how it came to be and why it shouldn't exist in the form that it does. And here's the emotional twist that keeps people hooked. Most individuals who come across such coins don't realize what they have until much later, sometimes after they've already spent it, and that realization can be both thrilling and heartbreaking. The idea that a fortune slipped through their fingers simply because it looked ordinary, and that's why awareness is everything, why understanding these coins can make all the difference. And why this journey through rare coins is more than just history. It's a chance to see the world differently, to recognize value where others see none. So as you sit there, maybe with a handful of change nearby, ask yourself, could one of those coins be hiding a secret worth millions? Could the next penny you pick up be the one that changes everything? And if that thought alone doesn't make you curious, then what you're about to discover next certainly will, because there's another coin waiting in this story, one that builds on this mystery and takes it to an entirely new level. And trust me, you do not want to miss what comes next, because if you thought this one was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable.